All right, team, welcome back. This is your biggest fan, TheRealCasadaro, and we're here on the computer, what I like to call the construct, and we are going to install PowerShell Core. Now, I don't have PowerShell Core installed on my system because I use a Windows machine and it comes installed with PowerShell, so we're going to install it together. And just to give you a quick overview of what PowerShell is and what PowerShell does, I'm here at www.thewindowsclub.com. Difference PowerShell and PowerShell Core. And so the main difference is that PowerShell Core uses the .NET Core framework, which is a library of different code that PowerShell uses to do different things, and then the actual PowerShell uses the .NET framework, which is indigenous to Windows and Microsoft and everything that they do. The deal with PowerShell Core is it runs on all platforms and some ARM devices, but there's bugs on ARM devices. But if you're using Windows, Mac, or Linux, some sort of desktop operating system, and I'm assuming you are because you're web developing or you want to learn web development, which is why you're here, you're going to need a computer, and I'm assuming you're on a computer, then PowerShell Core, it should work on your platform. Now, the deal is PowerShell Core is, and we can see there is an explanation here that tells us exactly what PowerShell is and what PowerShell does. And I'm just going to read this really quick. Microsoft has released PowerShell Core, a new version of PowerShell. This new version of PowerShell is available on all the major computing platforms, including Windows, Linux, and Mac OS as well. The latest version of Windows 10 comes out of the box with PowerShell 5.1, and this latest version of PowerShell Core version 6. So this means that Windows comes with both of these things. And if you're on a Windows machine, especially Windows 10, and you've updated on the regular basis, you already have PowerShell 5.1 installed. Let's see. PowerShell is a command line shell and scripting language from Microsoft. It's shipped with Windows operating systems and made its first appearance in 2006. So it's been around a while. Well, now we do have two publicly available editions of PowerShell. The first is PowerShell version 5.1, which is only available on Windows, and the second one is the new PowerShell Core version 6, which is what we're going to be downloading today. The difference between PowerShell and PowerShell Core, the first and foremost difference is, as we know, that PowerShell Core is cross-platform, which we discussed that already. And here are the major differences down here, the dependencies. So when we talk about dependencies, we're talking about software libraries. And so this is when earlier on, if you've been through the other modules, we talked about abstraction. So basically, some of the more complicated things, they have been done and they have been placed in a library, so we don't have to worry about doing those complicated things. So basically, these libraries give us a simple way to do complicated things. And this is going to make more and more sense as we move on, because you're going to build things that are going to make your life easier, and you can put those away in your own library as well. The usage depends. PowerShell depends on the .NET Framework runtime, and the PowerShell Core depends on the .NET Core Framework runtime. So basically, these are just two different libraries. The .NET Framework as a whole is very well integrated and provides a lot of functionality on a Windows operating system. Core can only provides functionality across all these different operating systems. And as time goes on, the .NET Core framework is going to become more powerful because it will tap into more of the application programming interfaces that are available in each operating system. So without further ado, what we're going to do is, if we we're going to just hop over to the PowerShell page, and I have it open in a different browser here. We don't want that there. But if we go to docs.microsoft.com/en PowerShell pivot, all this stuff, and there'll be a link. There's a link in the text description below. But this is where we go to set up our PowerShell. And look, there's all kinds of stuff we can use PowerShell for. All right, there's lessons and tutorials on how to use PowerShell if you guys want to go deeper. These are some common scripting tasks that we can utilize inside of PowerShell. And then, as you can see, there's just all different kinds of stuff here that we can use PowerShell for. And it's not, when you think PowerShell, don't just think Microsoft, because you can, PowerShell is a scripting language. It's a scripting language and an environment, and we can write scripts that can do stuff on any machine. It's just that it's built by Microsoft. But again, PowerShell Core is open source, and there's actually an open source repo on GitHub. So what we're going to do is we'll go here, set up an installation, and you're going to go through the installation process for your particular operating system. I'm on Windows, so I will go through the installation process for Windows, and it's pretty straightforward. It just tells us everything we need to do. So what we're going to do is, in the next session, I'm going to come back and I'm going to walk through installation. Now, you don't have to walk through installation with me. You can just go pick your operating system and then go through the installation process yourself. And some of you may be thinking, well, I don't want to do that because this is going to be hard and I have to do all this reading and all this stuff. Here's the deal. If you want to know magic, you have to read spell books. You just have to do it. Now, the course is here in order to show you which way to go and to help you through some things that are complicated. But at some point, you're going to be out in the world on your own, and you're going to have to develop your own spells and incantations, and that's going to require some study. Now, I'm going to walk through the installation on Windows because I'm on a Windows machine in the next session. But if you're on a different machine, then you're going to have to walk through the process for your particular machine. And they shouldn't be too different. So you can either go and get that done, but if you're on a Windows machine, then you can come back to the next session and you can go through the setup process with me. I will see you guys in the next session.